Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my dear friends. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. We're on day 217 of the Quran habit, mashallah. And today's verse, I'm just going to read one, says, "And when it is said to them, 'Come to what Allah has revealed, and to the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say, 'Sufficient for us is that upon which we found our fathers,' like what their fathers were doing and practicing. Even though their fathers knew nothing, nor were they guided." So it asks a question. And this is actually a type of a rebuke to that argument, that excuse. And I'm calling it an excuse. There's something similar that happens in the Bible with one of the people who approach Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ, and they want to be a follower. And but he says, let me bury my father first. And Christ alayhi salam says to him, "Let the dead bury the dead." And it's a very harsh, it sounds like such a harsh statement. And in some ways this could sound like a very harsh statement. But in fact, what it's pointing to is that this is the call is urgent. Be with those who are living, who are alive, who are seeking. Don't be afraid to turn to what is new, to what is right, to what is good, and don't just blindly follow, right? And we see this many times in the Quran. The Quran commands the highest regard of respect and obedience and love for one's parents, and the only time that one is not to obey one's parents is when they ask you to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So otherwise, one should always, let's say, there's a verse, lower the wing of mercy. So one should always be humble and sweet and modest with one's parents. And when we act up or act out, when we fail to do that, which happens in human relationships, we need to acknowledge the mistake and try to make up with them quickly and be on good terms and do our best by them. So alhamdulillah, and the same thing I believe in the biblical account. It is not at all actually intended to be suggesting any disrespect, but rather emphasizing and stressing the point that often we make excuses that sound or seem legitimate, but really we're just postponing and stalling. And it stresses the importance of the call. And then we can think of this in terms of our own, how we were, raised, and then how we want to raise our own children. Often we find many good things, mashallah. We feel many things our parents did were good, and they, alhamdulillah, did a nice job and the very best by us. But there are some things as we get older that we may would disagree with or feel that we would like to do differently because we realize maybe there's an optimum way to do it, or we discover there's a better way. And because we come across this new or better way, or we've seen another example, then we want to follow that with all due respect. So you take what is good and the things that were not, which were maybe insufficient or not to your liking, let's put it that way, you would let that go, right? And so instead of following one's parents, one would follow Allah and His Rasul, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in the same with when Isa alayhi salam was saying this, he was saying, follow, don't wait a moment. This is a precious time. So alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So now I'm going to read it in Arabic, inshallah. And if you haven't, kindly like, share, and subscribe. I would love to have your dua, and I really appreciate it. There have been some beautiful, really lovely comments, which I am always grateful for and appreciate. So thank you for that, anyone watching. And here we go. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله وإلى الرسول قالوا حسبنا ما وجدنا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعلمون شيئا ولا يهتدون. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. And may the sawab go to my parents. And may it go to my dear and beloved friend Neelam and her beautiful daughter Fatima. Ameen.